I work at a pharmacy in Stockholm. An American woman walked in, looked at our shelves, and froze completely. She stood there for 3 minutes, staring. Finally, she approached the counter. "Where's the medicine?" she asked. I pointed at the shelves behind her. "Right there, ma'am." She shook her head. "No, I mean the real medicine. Tylenol, Advil, NyQuil." I walked her to the pain relief section. Showed her paracetamol, ibuprofen, everything labeled clearly. She picked up a box, squinted at it, put it down. "This is generic," she said. "I need name brands. I don't trust this European stuff." I explained these were the exact same compounds, just different packaging. She wasn't convinced. Asked if we had American-approved medications. I told her medications here meet EU pharmaceutical standards, often stricter than FDA requirement. She left without buying anything. Said she'd wait until she got home for her headache. Her trip wasn't ending for 9 more days. That's when I realized. Some Americans don't freeze abroad because of language barriers or cultural confusion. They freeze because they're waiting for America to appear. They're standing in the middle of Sweden, France, or Japan, genuinely expecting American systems to materialize if they wait long enough. A German hotel manager told me about a guest who refused to leave his room because the hallway looked wrong. A Japanese convenience store clerk watched an American stare at the payment terminal for 5 minutes, unable to process that it required a PIN. A French waiter described a customer who ordered water, received water, then asked, "But where's the water?" These aren't stories about confusion. They're about Americans encountering reality and choosing to believe it's broken. I sell tickets at Munich Hauptbahnhof. An American couple approached my window, placed cash on the counter, and said nothing. Just stood there, staring at me. I asked where they needed to go. "Train tickets," the husband said. "Yes, but which destination?" "Train. Tickets." I explained I needed to know their destination to sell tickets. He looked confused, like I'd asked something unreasonable. His wife pulled out her phone, showed me a screenshot of Berlin. Just a Google Images photo of the Brandenburg Gate. "Berlin, then?" I confirmed. They nodded enthusiastically. I quoted the price for 2 tickets. The husband's face went pale. "That's in euros?" he asked. "Yes, sir, we're in Germany. Can you charge us in dollars?" I explained currency exchange doesn't work that way. He'd need to pay in euros or use a credit card that converts automatically. He pulled out a $50 bill, slid it across the counter. "This should cover it," he said. I slid it back. "Sir, I cannot accept dollars. It's American money. It's worth more." His wife suggested finding an ATM. He refused, insisting American currency should be accepted everywhere in the free world. When I wouldn't budge, he asked for my manager. My manager arrived, speaking perfect English, and repeated exactly what I'd said. The husband demanded to know why Germany refused to accept legitimate currency. My manager explained that Germany's legitimate currency was the euro. The man responded that euros were temporary and experimental. They left without tickets. I watched them approach 3 other ticket windows with the same $50 bill. Same result each time. Eventually, they stood in the middle of the station, completely frozen, holding American cash they couldn't spend, staring at trains they couldn't board. I manage a cafe in Amsterdam. Not the cannabis kind, an actual coffee shop. An American man entered, approached the counter, and stopped moving. He stood there, silent, looking increasingly distressed. "Can I help you?" I asked. "How do I order?" he whispered. I told him to tell me what he wanted. He glanced around nervously, as if searching for equipment I was hiding. "Where do I order from?" he tried again. "From me. Right here." "But where's the app?" I assured him we didn't have an app. He could just tell me his order and I'd make it. He looked genuinely frightened by this concept. Asked if we took call-ins. I said no, just walk up orders right here, face to face. He ordered a coffee. I asked what size. He said medium. I showed him our sizes. We use European standard measurements. He stared at the cups like they were cryptic artifact. Just a regular medium, he pleaded. I handed him our medium cup as reference. He shook his head. That's not medium. That's like... I don't know what that is. I explained it was 350 milliliters, roughly 12 ounces. He looked betrayed. Said in America, a medium was 20 ounces minimum. I suggested our large then. He refused, insisting I was trying to upsell him. We stood in silence, him staring at cups, me waiting for a decision. Finally, he asked if he could just show me a photo of an American Starbucks medium, and I could match that size. I told him I'd give him our closest equivalent. He reluctantly agreed. When I handed him the finished coffee, he didn't move to take it. Asked where his name would be called. I said I was handing it to him directly, no name-calling system. He looked around for other customers, realized he was alone, and slowly accepted that this was his coffee. He sat down without paying. I had to call him back. He was confused why payment happened after ordering. What if I don't like it? He asked. I told him that was the risk of ordering coffee. He paid, sat down again, then returned 2 minutes later asking for the Wi-Fi password. We don't have Wi-Fi. He asked what people do here then. I suggested drinking coffee. He left after 6 minutes. Forgot his coffee on the table. I wait tables at a bistro in the 6th arrondissement. An American couple sat down, reviewed menus briefly, then the husband raised his hand. Water, he announced. I brought a bottle of sparkling water and 2 glasses. He looked offended. I said water. Regular water. I offered still water instead. He stopped me. No, just water. Free water. Tap water. I explained in France we serve bottled water at restaurants. He could have still or sparkling, both cost the same. He refused both. In America, water is free, he said. We're in France, I replied. Water is a human right. I didn't argue the philosophy. I simply repeated that our restaurant served bottled water, and there was a charge. He wanted to speak with the owner. The owner told him the same thing. He announced he'd drink nothing then. His wife tried to calm him. He was spiraling. Started explaining that human civilization was built on free water access, that restaurants in France were violating international norms, that he'd visited France before and never had this problem. I asked when he'd visited. He said 1997. I noted that perhaps in 1997, some places offered free tap water more readily, but our current establishment did not. He said things shouldn't change. That France was becoming too European. We stood at an impasse. Him staring at the table where water should be. Me waiting for an actual drink order. His wife ordered wine. He glared at her, betrayed. You're giving in to their system, he muttered. They ate bread, free, unlimited bread, but he refused all beverages. Sat there, visibly thirsty, watching other tables drink water they'd paid for. His wife repeatedly offered him a sip of her wine. He refused on principle. When the check came, he asked if the bread was really free or if we'd hidden the cost in the prices. I assured him bread was complimentary. He found this inconsistent with our water policy and requested an itemized breakdown of how bread costs were absorbed into menu pricing. I brought him the check again, identical to the first. He paid, left no tip, explaining that American tipping culture was more honest than French service charges, and departed, still thirsty. I manage a ramen shop in Shibuya. An American man entered alone, studied our ticket machine, and froze. The machine had English options, clear pictures, simple buttons. He stared at it like it was alien technology. I approached. Need help ordering? Where's the menu? He asked. I pointed to the machine. This is the menu. You select here, pay, receive a ticket, hand it to the chef. He looked disturbed. I can't order from a person? The machine takes your order. But what if I have questions? I offered to answer questions. He asked what was in the miso ramen. I listed ingredients. He asked about spice level, portion size, add-ons. I answered everything. He seemed satisfied, then returned his attention to the machine and froze again. I'm ready to order now, he said to me. I gestured at the machine. Right there. Can't you just tell the chef? I explained our system, machine order, ticket, chef. He asked why. I said it was efficient and reduced errors. He said it was dehumanizing and that he needed human interaction with his food service. I told him I was human, we were interacting, and he still needed to use the machine. He refused. Said he'd come back when someone was working the register. I clarified we don't have a register. Only the machine. He stood there, paralyzed by the concept of automated ordering. Asked if he could just sit down and have someone come to his table. I explained we weren't that kind of restaurant. He asked what kind of restaurant we were. I said a ramen shop. He said in America, ramen shops have servers. Another customer reached past him, ordered in 30 seconds, took their ticket, sat down. The American watched this process with visible confusion, as if witnessing magic. How did they know what to order so fast? He asked. I suggested he might prefer a full-service restaurant. Gave him directions to one nearby. He asked if they had ramen. I said no, but they had human servers. He said he specifically wanted ramen though. We'd returned to the beginning. He left without ordering. On his way out, he asked if we had an English-speaking manager. I told him I was the manager. He asked if I was Japanese. I said yes. He said, "Oh," as if that explained everything, and left. I teach English in Prague. An American student arrived for her first class, sat down, and immediately raised her hand. "When do we start?" she asked. I looked at the clock. "We started 3 minutes ago." She glanced around the room. "But there's no bell." I explained university classes don't have bells. She looked genuinely distressed. Asked how she'd know when class began or ended. I said I'd tell them or they could check the time. She said that seemed disorganized. For the first week, she arrived exactly at the scheduled time but wouldn't enter until I verbally confirmed class was starting. If I was mid-sentence with another student, she'd wait in the hallway. Other students entered freely. She needed explicit permission each time. During lessons, she'd raise her hand for everything, questions, comments, bathroom break. I told her university students could speak freely or leave as needed. She found this chaotic. Said without hand raising, "How does anyone know whose turn it is?" By week 3, she'd adjusted slightly. Still raised her hand, but at least entered the room independently. Then one day, she froze again. We'd rearranged desks into a circle for discussion. She stood at the doorway, staring. "Where do I sit?" she whispered. "Anywhere," I said. "But where's my seat? My assigned seat?" I explained we didn't have assigned seating. She could choose any desk. She looked terrified. Asked how she'd know where to sit tomorrow if she sat somewhere today. I said she could sit anywhere tomorrow too. She said that was too much freedom and asked me to assign her a seat. I pointed to a desk. "Sit there." She sat, visibly relieved, but then immediately raised her hand. "Is this my seat forever now?" That's when I understood something. Americans don't freeze abroad because foreign systems are confusing. They freeze because foreign systems require independent thought. Back home, everything has instructions, labels, apps, automation, assigned spots. They're waiting for someone to tell them what to do, where to go, how to proceed. They're not frozen by confusion. They're frozen by freedom. Next time, I'll tell you about the American who couldn't figure out how to leave a building because the exit sign was in check. She stood at the door for 10 minutes. The door was glass. She could see outside. But the sign didn't say exit in English, so she waited for permission to leave. Sometimes, Americans don't need a map. They need instructions for breathing.